You know when there's 10. Call to order the regular board meeting of April 27th at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Here.
Treasurer Elliott.
Here.
Trustee Anderson.
I will let, if he hasn't jumped into the Zoom meeting yet, I will let him in, and I'll back up a little bit. Here from the Chesterfield Municipal Complex, Chesterfield Township, Michigan.
Thank you.
Here from the Chesterfield Municipal Township Complex.
Trustee Joseph.
I am here from my home in Chesterfield Township.
Trustee Demink.
Here from my home in Chesterfield.
Trustee Vosberg.
Here from my home in Chesterfield, Michigan.
Clerk Barry is here from my home in Chesterfield, Michigan. Is Trustee Anderson arrived in the meeting yet, Mr. Supervisor?
He has not.
I just, Mr. Supervisor, just texting with Trustee Anderson, who's having some technical problems. I'm trying to walk him through with the passcode, and hopefully he'll join us soon.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be starting with presentations and a department report, and I'll let him in as soon as I'm able. Clerk Barry, item 5, there are no presentations. Item 6 is department reports, and I am going to start with Jeremy with Spalding D. Decker, along with Mr. O'Connor, to give a report on the sidewalk program. And I'm going to make Jeremy the host here for this presentation.
All right, thanks, Danny. I will share my screen. Okay, just wanted to give you a little bit of an update as to where we're at with the sidewalk replacement program. Back in October, we were authorized to put together the administrative guide. From there, we met with the Ways and Means Committee 3 different times, did some integration with PIS, which is what you're seeing now. And then on March 12th, we were authorized to move this project to bids. And as a part of the bids, we had to send out a public notice, which lets each homeowner know how much deficient sidewalk we found in front of their homes, as well as an engineer's estimate on what we believe that was going to cost. Since then, we've received bids back, which were less than what we initially thought from an engineer's estimate perspective. And I have to admit somebody here, there we go. But our next step is gonna be May 17th is a public hearing. What happens at the public hearing is you'll hear public comments, pro and against, and you'll have the opportunity to approve the project to move forward, as well as a look at the bids and whether or not to move forward with those bids as well. And then after that, once the public hearing is complete, the homeowners have 30 days beyond the public hearing to submit notice that they're going to be replacing the sidewalks on their own, and they'll have an additional 30 days beyond that to complete those repairs. So homeowners got their letters on April 16th. They were sent out in the mail via April 16th. The public hearing is May 17th. The notice to let us know that you're going to be repairing the sidewalks on your own is June 16th. And then the final date for those repairs is July 17th. All construction from the township contractor will begin after that date.
Any questions from the board? And Jeremy can do a little sample of the GIS if necessary, which I think might be worth running through. You are going to start seeing a lot more input on this. There'll be a public hearing. Jeremy, I think you might have mentioned that date as this moves forward. But as you get phone calls on this, there's an email set up specifically for this issue. And any questions from the board for Jeremy? Trustee Joseph.
Jeremy, I know when we originally had the initial presentation, you laid out multiple districts or zones as this process goes through the township. This is the first district or zone. Will the public hearing for each zone be consistent in that when we finish this zone, I assume then the next district or zone will be marked and people will get notices, and then will it follow the same protocol for each district as you move through the individual identified zones or districts?
Yes, that's the intent, is to do the evaluations first, put together the bid documents, go out for bids, send out public notices. The dates may change here and there depending on the year, but overall this is will be the flow of the program from now on.
And how much time in between the districts, like will we button one up before we start another, or was the intent to keep the contractor moving, so what's the estimated timeline for rollout between the two districts? Will we have overlap? Will we have a public hearing going on in one district while cement is being poured in another district, or what's the flow look like from that standpoint?
The flow looks like it's year to year. So this year will be only District 1. We'll wrap it up by probably October, and then we'll start the next evaluations for the next year in the fall, and then design in the winter, go out for public hearing in the spring, and then construct in the summer. So each year will be its own zone.
Okay, and then the last question, Mr. Supervisor, you said that there was a website or a line that residents can call. I'm sure those of us who are on social media are well aware that residents are not happy. They've been getting their bills and their assessments for sidewalks, which many feel are in perfectly good condition. There's nothing wrong with their slab and, $1,000 or more. So where do we direct residents who, would like to, aside from the public hearing, obviously, on May 17th, which I would argue we might want to push out until we can actually allow people into the building. But what was there an email that you mentioned, or a phone somewhere that they can contact or direct them to an official in the township?
Jeremy.
Yeah, there is a email address, sidewalks@chesterfieldtownship.org.
Sidewalks.
And then there's, yes.
Is that on our township page, Mr. Supervisor?
It's in the public notice. I think we listed the email address probably 3 different places. And then we also have a hotline on there for those who don't have email. I would say we've gotten about 150 responses so far. We keep track of those and we respond to each. A lot of them, what we do is we provide the information that's on the screen here of this address. There's 5 different criteria for defects, and anything rated 4 or higher is what's getting replaced. And that's all based on what's on the administrative guide. When you go through and you look at, these are the defects, number 1 is no lip all the way up to 1 inch or more. So this year, anything 4 or more is what got a letter in the mail.
Thank you.
Any further comments from the board or questions for Jeremy? Jeremy, if you could, real quick, just do a run around of the GIS, maybe zoom out and show the zone that we're in, and then exactly what you're doing with the pictures. I think that would be helpful.
Sure. Yeah. So like I said, this for each individual slab that we identified as a defect, we went through and rated it for each one of the 5 types of defects. It gives the total square footage, and then there's a photo linked to it. So for instance, this photo is the defect that's present. There's a little yellow washer on each of the flags that would need to be replaced. So the homeowner, when they respond to us via email, they're getting a screenshot of the GIS and this picture in the email showing them exactly which flag needs to be replaced. When we get into the zone itself, we zoom all the way out. You can see the 6 different zones. We're in zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, 4, 5, 6. From there, we've got all of these blue and red X's. So the red X's are the highest rating, number 5, and then the blue X's are number 4. It worked out to be about half and half. Half were 4s and half were 5s.
Thank you. Any further comments from the board? There will be one more board action on this after the public hearing, and probably another update even in the meeting in between now and then.
I will have I've been keeping track of all the emails as well as the phone calls. And what we usually do is just put together the categories of which the response was. So you can have an overview as to what comments we've received via email and phone.
Thank you, Jeremy. If you could relinquish your host back to me. Thank you. Uh-oh, you disabled participant screen sharing, so you got to make me the host again. Right-click on me. Oop, there we go. I'm back.
Got it.
I think I'm back. Bear with me. There we go. Director Kirsten. Oop, no sound. Oh, there you go.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and honorable board members. Just a quick update on some things that we're doing. As approved by the board the last meeting, our architecture plans have been placed on Mitten. We've got a very positive response. We are communicating with some of them. There will be a site visit in the week of May for both the police station and the fire station on Jefferson. Point of interest for our accreditation process, which we have been told we successfully accomplished. We have reached that bar, and now we must maintain that bar and performance level and standard. We're going to have a revisit from the Accreditation Review Board in the month of May, just to make sure that we are complying in the review of the policies and recommendations that they had made to us. As you all know, in law enforcement, our industry or our practice is evolving almost on a daily basis. So our policy review, our officer conduct, how we present ourselves and how we function in society, particularly in our community, is always under scrutiny. And we have undertaken that. I'm going to probably make some changes in the police department operationally to accommodate where we want to be with accreditation and with our service. I also want to note, I've got, these are trying times. We've had some significant events that our officers, both police and firefighters, have responded to recently. And the mental health and the mental well-being of the staff of the Public Safety Department is something I take close heart to. And I just want to make you aware of some of these impacts that we're seeing nationally. They are present in our community, and we're trying to manage them as best we can and provide the top level service that you demand from us. So again, that rolls back into accreditation and where we want to be with our police department. And also, again, I'll mention this again, once we're done with accreditation with the police department, we intend to roll directly into the fire service and the fire operation. That is all I have for my report this week, Mr. Supervisor. I return to you.
Thank you. Any further department heads wish to update the board? We'll move it up to the board. Trustee Demank.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is from Leisure Services from the Parks and Rec Department. 55 and older friends, you're invited to travel by highway coach with Leisure Services to the Charles H. Wright Museum or the Detroit Zoo. These trips takes place on May 28th and June 11th and are available cost-free to our senior citizen community. You can call 949-0400 extension 4 for day and time specifics. Both trips include transportation and admittance. Souvenirs and food are on your own. Next, please join us as we welcome back the Donnie Rod Show for an outdoor concert and lunch on Monday, May 24th. Lunch is served at 1:30 p.m. by the Polish Mania food truck. Performance begins at 2 p.m. The event takes place at Pollard Park, weather permitting. A favorite among our senior citizens, this entertainer showcases the best of Rod Stewart. Advanced registration is required, and the last day to register is April 30th. And lastly, looking for seasonal employment? Want to supplement your income or try something new? Chesterfield Leisure Services is accepting applications for summer park supervisors. Applicants are welcome to apply for up to 40 hours per week. Individuals 18 and older can apply online at chesterfieldtownship.org. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Any further department reports? Clerk Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I appreciate that. Wanted to update the board as well as the public on something that we are getting a lot of calls about, and that is when we will be resuming the Cannabis Committee. That we have a couple of new members with the changing of the assignments, and so we are scheduling a meeting for the month of May. We are currently between two dates. It will either be on the 19th, Wednesday the 19th, or Monday the 24th. At 6 p.m. You can check back with our website, call the clerk's office, and we can let you know as well. You can sign up for notifications on that committee as well as any other committees that you are interested in. You can sign up online for notifications of the meetings of those committees, including the Township Board of Trustees, to receive notifications. So that's really the best thing to do for those who are members of the public or members of the board who are interested in following that particular issue as we acclimate and orient the new members and hopefully move forward with our mission as prescribed to us by the board. We will be starting those meetings in May, and they will be in person so that the public can attend and look to our website or sign up for those notifications or call the clerk's office for the determination on that date. Again, either Wednesday, the 19th of May or Monday, the 24th, yet to be determined based on availability. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further board members wish to do a department report? Item number 7 is the consent agenda. Clerk Barry. You're muted.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by the board and will be enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of these items. If discussion of any item is required by a board member, it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Public comments on the consent agenda items are permitted. 7A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 13th, 2021. Item 7B, approval of the agenda with addendum if necessary. Item 7C, approval of the payment of bills as submitted by the Finance Department. 7D, approve a recommendation from the Department of Public Safety to pay the seller's commission broker's fee for the sale of the 2009 CSI GMC 4x4 rescue pumper to the, I'm sorry, I can't read that, to the Sligo Volunteer Fire Department. The fee of $11,500 will be paid, thank you, to Brindley Mountain Fire Apparatus, who orchestrated the sale of this fire truck.
Do I have a
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Supervisor, if we may ask the maker of the motion to amend his motion to include the removal of item 8F from the regular agenda.
I'll amend my motion.
Thank you.
Motion by trustee Demink,
Second?
support by clerk Barry to approve the consent agenda as submitted with the removal of item 8F from the regular agenda. Discussion. Clerk Barry, has there been any public comments submitted on item number 7?
There have been no public comments submitted on this agenda item.
Seeing no further discussion or public comments, Clerk Barry, we have a motion by Trustee Demink, support by Clerk Barry. Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, just a point of order before we take the roll call vote. Trustee Anderson, I did see he arrived. Could we please record his attendance for the record?
Yes, please.
Present in Chesterfield Township, Michigan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 8's the regular agenda. Item 8A.
No sound. Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and honorable board members. Just a quick update on some things that we're doing.
Oh, Trustee Anderson, let me,
The last meeting, our architecture plans have been placed on Mitten. We've got a very positive response. We are communicating with some of them.
I hear something. Do you guys hear that?
It sounds to me as if it's Director Kirsten's comments
Of interest
that he just made.
process, which,
Interesting. Okay,
Can you mute? He's not muted.
everybody's muted, so,
There.
all right, I think it's gone. Okay, someone's watching the meeting and in the meeting. Clerk Barry, item 8A, please. Oh, well, you need to be able to see it. There you go.
Thank you. I'm trying to get my, my screen back, Mr. Supervisor. I apologize. Item 8A is to approve the second reading and adoption of Ordinance 189, amending Article 3, Section 18, soliciting and vending, and repealing any and all ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewith.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the adoption of ordinance number 189 as stated.
Motion by Clerk Barry,
Second.
support by Trustee or Treasurer Elliott. Discussion? Clerk Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Since this was submitted to the board members at the last meeting, there were some very minor clerical changes that legal made to this particular ordinance, but nothing material. And if our township attorney would like to address I think a couple minor concerns that he had, just so that the board is aware prior to final adoption.
You're catching me blindfolded because I don't know that I made any changes. All I did was I put it in.
We lost sound.
Oh, Brad, or Mr. Siebert, turn your sound back on again.
How's that? Better?
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay. In any event, I didn't make any changes. All I did was I took the original ordinance was done in-house and it was given to me. All I did was put it in ordinance draft form, which is no substantive changes whatsoever. The only
Just simply a formatting change, Bob?
Yeah, it was given to me. The committee that put the changes together had simply taken the ordinance out of the Code of Ordinances book, put in red line changes, deleted some provisions, which for purposes of discussion is fine. For purposes of adoption, it's not fine. So I took the ordinance, I put it in correct form, put a legal title in it, which is statutorily required, and took the provisions and made zero changes to them at all. Simply made the format so that it's legally appropriate. And so it's ready to go. There have been no changes from what you've seen in the introduction to what you're going to approve tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Siebert.
Any further or questions for the board? Clerk Barry, have there been any public comments submitted on this item?
There have been no public comments submitted on this agenda item.
We have a motion by Clerk Barry, support by Treasurer Elliott, to to approve item 8A as submitted. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Clerk Berry, aye. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee DeMink.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 8B.
Item 8B is to approve a request from JD and SY Inc. Fireworks for a fireworks vending application variance for a 20 by 40 tent at 29230 23 Mile Road, Chesterfield, Michigan, 48051 for the sale of fireworks from June 23rd, 2021 through July 3rd, 2021. Business operating hours requested are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
It should be July 4th.
Do I have a motion? And then I do believe the petitioner is on the Zoom call.
Sorry, Jonathan, that it was JDS NYE.
Jonathan, I need a motion first before I can
Okay, I'm sorry.
take any comment. Do I have a motion to act on item 8B?
Mr. Supervisor, I would make a motion to approve with amendments to the request. I don't know if you would like a motion to approve and then changes with discussion later, or would you would like me to make those changes in my motion?
How about a motion to discuss, and then we'll make sure we get all the changes clear, and then a revised motion. Will that work, Clerk Berry?
That works for me. Motion to discuss item 8B as submitted.
Is there support?
Support.
Support by Trustee Vosberg. Okay, Jonathan.
Mr. Supervisor, we need to take a vote, perhaps.
Yeah. Absolutely. Motion, well, we're going to take a vote to the end. All I need is a motion support. Now we can discuss.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know if you wanted to take a vote to discuss. That's fine.
The petitioner is here, Jonathan.
Yes, I'm sorry. What was the question?
I thought you made a comment at the opening of the meeting.
Yeah, it should be till July 4th. I might have got the dates mixed up. I know it's supposed to be only allowed 12 days, right?
Sounds like a requested change. Clerk Berry, or would anyone like to comment on
The last
maybe-
day should be July 4th.
Okay, so the request is July 4th, not July 3rd.
Yes.
Understood.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I can clarify if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is a little bit unusual. We put this on the board agenda because we didn't know what was going to happen with the item that was first on our agenda. So we left this item on the agenda, however, as well as the following item. However, given the fact that the board has now approved the adoption of an ordinance that addresses much of this, I would suggest that the approval be granted to comply with the ordinance we just adopted, although perhaps we would like to discuss that with our, or have legal counsel make a comment, or I'd like to ask him for his suggestion, because the ordinance won't go into effect for 30 days from the time we publish. And so we're kind of in an in-between stage in terms of what we should regarding this. The ordinance, for example, that we just passed sets business hours from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. And that, of course, I don't think affects the variance request, but since we just established those rules, my suggestion would be that we try to follow that as closely as possible. I believe the tent variance as well is addressed in that ordinance, and perhaps planning director Palin would like to address those things. So I guess I would ask for some input from legal counsel on how best to approach this, as well as from planning with regards to the tent before we make a decision.
Well, the applicant has submitted an application under your ordinance that is now in effect. And so the applicant would be entitled to a decision under the ordinance that is in effect at the time the board considers the application. On the other hand, he's asking for a variance, which the board could deny. So you may ask the applicant whether or not he'd be willing to change his hours now to the hours that are reflected in the amendment, and if he's willing to do that, you can handle it tonight. If not, the board could simply table any decision on this until after the effective date of the amendment.
I'm not concerned about the hours, more of the date, the last date of July 4th. The 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. is not an issue. I could change the hours. It's just that the fact that I can't sell on the day of the holiday is the only concern.
It sounds to me like the applicant's willing to comply with an amendment that's not yet even in effect, which is exactly what the board apparently wants him to do.
Well, it depends on which question. If you're talking about the time of when I can open and close, or the days of operation.
I believe, Madam Clerk, you're talking about the hours of operation, and he's willing to comply with the hours.
Correct, and even the number of days under the ordinance that we just voted to adopt, it would give the applicant 30 days to vend. And so that would satisfy his request, and there wouldn't, I don't know if there wouldn't be a variance needed for the days that he's looking for, but the new ordinance would accommodate that as well.
Okay, because I haven't seen the ordinance. I was just wondering if the sale of the holiday was a part of the ordinance. So I could change the date to the 4th if allowable, right?
I think that's kind of been cleared up, that it's going to be part of next year's, the ordinance piece of it. And we're going to be acting on these two variances, which we deal with these every year. And the board does try to provide uniformity. Like there's two of them on the agenda tonight. And what we've done since I've been here was made everyone the same, and you're the first one. So we'll see how this goes, and it'll probably be where everyone else lands up for the time of day. So
You know, I think you can satisfy the board's requirements under the new ordinance tonight because the applicant is willing to comply with those requirements.
Well, I gotta see all the requirements. With the timeline of the opening and starting, yes, but I don't know the full ordinance.
There's only two items that you care about. One is when, and the other is hours of operation.
Yeah.
The gentleman wants the 4th of July, which makes perfect sense if you're selling fireworks.
Yeah. So if that's acceptable, then yes, I have no issue with the new ordinance.
Trustee Vosberg. And then Trustee Elliott, or Treasurer Elliott, I'll come back to you.
Thank you. One of the questions I was going to ask without even considering fireworks was, does this supersede or include the fireworks? Because according to my understanding is state statute once each municipality passes their own type of statute regarding the sale of fireworks. Is that correct? I guess addressed to Mr. Siebert?
Yeah, there has been a fair amount of preemption in this field, but it still allows the local municipality to set reasonable hours of operation and duration, which is what your ordinance does.
Okay, so this ordinance that we just passed does not supersede our fireworks ordinance, correct?
Well, it deals with vending and soliciting, and all this amendment that you adopted on the prior item did really was added some additional days and changed some times. The changes were so minuscule that this has no substantive impact, quite frankly, on any of these operations. These are the most minor of changes to your ordinance.
Okay, but the petitioner is requesting 12 days. And so if we approve the 12-day, that's all it can be, correct?
If that's what he's asking for, your new ordinance would certainly allow that. And he's willing to abide by the time of day, which your new ordinance would allow. So what he is voluntarily agreeing to would be consistent with your recent amendment.
And since the option of having more days is available now, if I reply or with the city clerk later and add additional days, is that possible? Because, you know, these submitting this is because the max allowable originally was only 12 days. And now if we're allowed more days, could I submit for more?
The answer to that is yes. I mean, if the ordinance changed and you give him more flexibility. he can-
Yeah, but like the votes for today, for whatever days that I have on my,
You can,
that's shown on your screen, I'm wondering, can I change that
Mr.
tomorrow?
Mr.
even if
Dado,
it's-
no, that, you can ask for a variance like you're doing right now, and then it's up to the board what action they take on that. I don't know if trustee Vosberg wanted to recircle around here, and then, I do have Treasurer Elliott.
Right, because what I wanted to follow up with is, I probably should have asked this question on the prior motion, on the prior agenda item. I did not. I was assuming the fireworks ordinance remained in place unchanged. So my only concern was, let's keep the time to closing at 9 o'clock to match what we had changed. But it sounds like we have a separate issue, this is not the petitioner's issue at all. This is our issue. Does the fireworks, what we had in place for fireworks, does that now change because of what we passed in the previous agenda item?
Kathy, I don't have that ordinance in front of me, but if you want to keep it uniform to what you have done in the past, for purposes of this applicant and the next applicant's request, that amendment that you just adopted 5 minutes ago doesn't exist. It doesn't take effect yet. So you can rule on.
Correct, I see what you're saying. Right. So we can deal with the issue in a broader picture at another meeting, but.
Yeah, I mean, you can rule on them both tonight. You can give them exactly the same uniformity you've given prior applicants, and you will treat them the same as you have everyone else for the prior 3 or 4 year period, and everyone will be treated equally. On a go-forward basis, it may change those other provisions. I haven't looked at that fireworks ordinance.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Treasurer Elliott.
Is it 30 days that you can
We-
do the
Not, no,
listening?
that ordinance does not exist right now, so we backed up to item number 8. The ask in front of us is for 12 days, or the similar ask that we had every year under our rules that are right now. They're asking for a variance for tent size, and I believe a variance on these days, or approval for this amount of days. And the time, the 10 to 10. And the other agenda item, I think, is messing up this conversation a little bit.
I couldn't agree with you more. Analyze it under your existing ordinance and you're done.
Yeah, I'm
Barry.
happy with what we've done the past 6 years.
Clerk Barry.
Mr. Supervisor, can I have an opportunity during round 1?
Now you can, now that I know that you want to speak.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand in the feature here, but.
I got you in the queue, so hold on. I'm not sure Treasurer Elliott's done.
I'm sorry?
I'm not sure Treasurer Elliott or Treasurer Elliott's done, and then I will move over to you.
So I'm not sure that I see in the ordinance that we just adopted and the other one where it says 30 days for the soliciting and vending. I am trying to look through that.
Yeah, so I want to make sure we don't talk about that item anymore. We're only talking about item number 8B. There's a lot of misinformation about what item 8A was. We can circle around back on that when we legally can do that. I disagree with some of the assertions that were made, the 30 days, that ordinance does not exist for the purposes of this discussion, and I don't mean to be like that, but we got to stay on the agenda item that we're on.
And the only reason I am bringing that up is that I don't want to confuse, Jonathan, thank you for your patience with us as we're kind of figuring this out, but I want to make sure that when we said that he, if that is correct, that it's going to affect him.
Thank you. Trustee Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I couldn't agree with you more. We got a presentation on a legal package from a non-lawyer, and it's added nothing but confusion here. And I'd appreciate it if we would just get direction on legal questions from our attorney. He's done everything possible to shepherd this as best he can by pointing out what we are to be ruling on. And we keep grabbing a hold of the initial presentation, which was inclusive of 30 days and all kinds of other gibberish. So the issue before us is the issue that's before us every year. There's nothing, as I understood it from Mr. Siebert, regarding 8A that impacts this decision. We are looking at the variance on the tent and the request for hours. And at this point, I feel that the petitioner is so confused in terms of what he's asking for, he might be better off to come back because I'm inclined to roll with Trustee DeMink on this one and just make an absolute, you know, the fireworks in general have become problematic. So it might be best for the petitioner and to understand what it is that he's asking and come in with a complete package. And maybe if he has questions about the legality, we could help him with our township attorney instead of the attorney that seems to be the non-attorney attorney that seems to be providing all the legal advice on this. So just an observation and a perhaps recommendation.
Thank you. We'll go back to Clerk Barry. We are in the discussion phase right now. Would we like to change that motion? And we can obviously continue discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. What I was going to say is that this wasn't a discussion of whether or not 8A impacts us necessarily. It was just a matter of being aware of the provisions there, and we might want to adjust this. I would be willing to make a motion to approve the request with the following provisions. Approve the variance for a 20 by 40, approve the sale of fireworks from June 23rd to July 4th, and business operating hours from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. That would be the only adjustments I'd be willing to make, and I would be willing to make a motion at this time to approve this item with those provisions.
Is there a motion to support the amended item 8B? Motion, or Trustee Vosberg?
I'll support the motion that was just made.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? We have a motion by Clerk Barry, support by Trustee Vosberg, to approve a request from J.D. and S.Y. Inc. Fireworks for a fireworks vending application variance for the 20 by 40 tent at 29230 23 Mile Road for the sale of fireworks from June 23rd, 2021 through July 4th, 2021. Business operating hours 9 a.m. Or is it 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.?
Yes.
10 a.m. to 9 p.m. I wanted to make sure we got the motion right for the record. Any further discussion? Has there been any public comments submitted on item 8B?
There have been no public comments submitted on this agenda item.
Motion by Clerk Barry, support by Trustee Vosberg to approve item 8B as amended. Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
No.
Trustee Anderson.
No.
Trustee DeMink.
No.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 8C.
Thank you.
Clerk Barry.
Item 8C is to approve a request from LRY Fireworks for a fireworks vending application variance for a 30 by 40 tent at 25950 South Knollwood Drive, Chesterfield, Michigan 48051 for the sale of fireworks from June 24th, 2021 through July 5th, 2021. Business operating hours from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request from LRY Fireworks for a fireworks vending application variance for a 30 by 40 tent at 25950 South Knollwood, Chesterfield, Michigan 48051 for the sale of fireworks from June 24th, 2021 through July 5th, 2021. Business operating hours from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Is there support? Is there support?
I'll support that.
Trustee Vosberg. Support by Trustee Vosberg. Discussion. Comments from the public.
Nope, whatever whatever the resolution is of this being approved, I don't mind opening from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's fine with me. And if you guys approve this variance, I appreciate it.
Any further comments from the board? Motion by Clerk Barry, support by Trustee Vosberg to approve item 8C as amended. Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
No.
Trustee Demink.
No.
Trustee Joseph.
No.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye. Motion passes. Item. Thank you. If you guys could exit the Zoom meeting, I'd appreciate it. Good luck this season.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Item 8D.
Item 8D is to adopt proclamation to declare Public Service Recognition Week, May 2nd through the 8th, 2021.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Demink,
Support.
support by Trustee Anderson. Clerk Barry, any discussion or comments, or would you like to read it in the record? I'll leave that up to the clerk's office. And has there been any public comments?
There have been no public comments submitted on this agenda item. And I can read it into the record if you would like, Mr. Supervisor.
Please do.
Charter Township of Chesterfield Proclamation Public Service Recognition Week, May 2nd through the 8th, 2021. In honor of the millions of public employees at the federal, state, county, and local levels. Whereas Americans are served every single day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and local levels. These unsung heroes do the work that keeps our nation working. Their tireless efforts are especially critical today during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas public employees take not only jobs, but oaths, and whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, border patrol officers, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others risk their lives each day in service to the people of the United States and around the world. And whereas public servants include teachers, doctors, and scientists, train conductors and astronauts, nurses and safety inspectors, laborers, computer technicians, and social workers, and countless other occupations, day in and day out, they provide the diverse services demanded by the American people of their government with efficiency and integrity. And whereas without these public servants at every level, continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Now, therefore, the Chesterfield Township Board of Trustees do hereby announce and proclaim to all citizens and set seal hereto that May 2nd through the 8th, 2021 is Public Service Recognition Week. All citizens are encouraged to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels, federal, state, county, and local, proclaimed this 27th day of April, 2021.
Thank you. Trustee Joseph.
I am very honored to see this proclamation put forward. Having been referred to as a career bureaucrat feeding at the public trough during a previous debate, Mr. Acciavatti, I'm glad to see your position has changed on this and that you're actually one of the signers of this proclamation. So I'm not sure what changed, but I appreciate your acknowledgement and the incredible work done by public employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Lots of support for our police, our fire, our DPW workers, sewer and water, but also the ones that make our government work behind the scenes. And I think this was brought to me. I think it was important to recognize the service that government workers do, especially in this tough environment. And I appreciate all you guys' support. Any further comments from the board? Clerk Barry, has there been any public comments submitted?
There have been no public comments submitted on this agenda item.
Motion by trustee Demink, support by trustee Anderson to approve item 8D as submitted. Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Motion passes. Item 8E.
Item 8E is to approve a recommendation from the Department of Public Safety to purchase a firefighting skid unit from CET in the amount of $15,794.80 from GL number 205340986.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Joseph,
Second.
support by trustee Vosberg. Director Kirsten and Chief Miller are joining us.
So this component is, for all intents and purposes, a skid unit. I'll describe it. It's a firefighting pump with a water container on it, and it is mounted on a mechanism that allows us to put it in and out of the back of a firefighting vehicle, particularly a pickup. This one will go in the back of the new utility vehicle that we purchased some time ago. And what this does is it allows us to access confined areas and adds a diversity to our firefighting capabilities, kind of in an off-road or off-yard capability. The process to purchase this, we used Mitten. Our budget analyst, Gary, sent a request out from the specifications that Chief Miller had asked for. The bids are in the package. We selected this brand. We have a familiarity with this type of pumping system that we've already purchased previously, and we would hope that the board would approve this request again for the fire truck. Chief Miller is available if you have any specific questions. He's on the meeting with us.
Any questions from the board? Clerk Barry, has there been any public comments submitted?
There have been no public comments submitted on this agenda item.
Motion by trustee Joseph, support by trustee Vosberg to approve item 8E as submitted. Clerk Barry, please call the roll.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Supervisor Acciavatti.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kirsten. Item 8F has been removed from the agenda. Item 8G.
Item 8G is to approve a request by Public Works to purchase a block of 100 hours for GIS updates from Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick, AEW, at a cost not to exceed $9,000 from GL number 591441821.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to approve item 8G? I'll make the motion to approve. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by trustee Vosberg. Director Johnson.
Yes, good evening, board. I'm bringing this to your attention this year. This is probably the third year Public Works has done this. We've recently, over the past 2 or 3 years, been really working on improving our GIS. If you guys can recall, we bought some hardware a few months ago, had some training on it, and this slide here is a great example of kind of what we're doing. So the person who does our MISTIGs, Mark, we're updating our system. So essentially on the left-hand side, our current GIS, that map is basically, this is Flamingo Court, which is right by our DPW there on Sierra. The left side is a computer-aided draft design or a CAD drawing which is basically just taking the line from a blueprint, throwing it on the map, and kind of calling it a day. What Mark is doing is we're taking that hardware that we purchased, he's going out and marking where the actual water main is, which is kind of the teal triangles, and then each water service, which is the dark blue triangle. And there are stop boxes or the curb stops where you can turn the water off for each home, as well as hydrants, which are in red, sanitary sewer manholes, which are the yellow dots. So he's locating all of this infrastructure while he is out in the field. Now, what happens there is all of these dots need to be connected. And so what's going to happen is with, let's say, this pool of hours is Jeff Miller from AW and his crew are going to go in and basically redraw all these lines and make it pretty so that it's going to look like the left side, only it's going to be more accurate. Because this is becoming more of a frequent, we're going to be doing this very often. I don't know if, in my personal opinion, I feel like this is going to end up more falling under the general engineering type of service where it's just going to be a recurring thing we're doing and maybe not necessarily having to come back to the board. Because it was new, we did that. But because this is like a regular type of service now, I'm not sure, I'm not sure how the board feels. I welcome to come back next year if need be, but I figured come the budget for 2022 time, I'll have discussion with the board on what they feel, how this is going to work. But in the meantime, I still wanted to bring it to your attention because I have done so in the past. We do have AW doing this because this is, Jeff Miller who does it, this is his full-time job. This is what he does for a living. This isn't something you can just go on the computer and just click some buttons and draw like Microsoft Paint. You need to know how to do a lot of layers, a lot of work. He has a degree in this field. But we do have one employee, the one Mark, who does the mistakes. He has an interest in wanting to learn this. So he's looking to take classes for ArcGIS and become proficient in this to where he may be taking it over potentially and doing it internally. So that is potentially a goal. But in the meantime, these block of hours are going to be needed so that we can continue to update and improve our GIS for reliability in the field.
Trustee Joseph.
I had a question, Mr. Johnston. Mr. Johnson, you indicated that the individual from AEW has a degree in this. What's the degree?
I do not know the degree. I know there's different types. I can't speak out of term, but I'm not really
What's the computer program?
This is ArcGIS that we're using. So it's not a degree in ArcGIS, but you can be certified in ArcGIS to how to operate it, which is what our employee is going to look to do.
Do you need to be an engineer to be certified in ArcGIS?
No.
So I'm not familiar with, in the automotive industry, you have one of the old programs like CAD or some specialized internal, design program, similar to something like that?
That is correct.
And so do we know what it costs to get the training? Because we don't have employees, in the township making $90 an hour. So, sending this out when we have an in-house engineer and you don't even need to be an engineer, how long do we anticipate doing that?
Right now, we just started looking into it. So there are certain classes they can take that are of no cost. So we're starting with those classes, see how that's gonna work. And then from there, we're gonna work with ArcGIS and we're getting more information compiling on how much it would cost to become certified. So we just started that process probably, 3-4 weeks ago. So we're kind of investigating it right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further comments?
Supervisor.
Trustee Anderson.
Yes, sir. Dovetailing on Mr. Joseph asked, we've added our last board here, we added an engineer department. There are now departments within the township budget. Are they capable of picking up some of this work instead of continually farming it out? I mean, it seems like we should utilize our in-house people too to save some money here for the township. Thank you.
No, I absolutely agree, Hank. If anything we can do internally at our own, we absolutely would do it. But I don't believe we have capabilities in-house to be able to handle this. That's why we're doing this currently. Otherwise, we would be having, say, Mitch or his department doing it as well.
Thank you, Kevin.
Any further comments from the board? Motion by Supervisor Acciavatti, support by Trustee Vosberg to approve item 8G as submitted. Clerk Berry, please. Oh, is there a public comment?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, there is.
Please read it into the record.
Thank you. The public comment has been submitted by Joe Kadich, 32825 Sutton Road. Why isn't anyone trained to use, operate, and update info into GIS? Either one of the superintendents, the engineer, or anyone in the water department should be doing this, as they need it to continually update the system. It's their system. You should review how many hours, dollars, has been spent for updates that could have been handled in-house.
Are there any further public comments?
There are no other public comments on this agenda item.
Motion by Supervisor Acciavatti, support by Trustee Vosberg to approve item 8G as submitted. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Supervisor Acciavatti?
Yes.
Trustee Vosberg?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
No.
Trustee Demink?
Aye.
Trustee Joseph?
No.
Treasurer Elliott?
Aye.
Clerk Berry? Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Item 8, that's the end of the 8s. 9 is the addendum. 10 is public comment. Have there been any public comments submitted? Oh, I see you raised your hand, Kathy. Did I miss you? Let me unraise you. Okay, Clerk Berry, please read the public comment into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This comment has been submitted by Paul LaFata, 48055 Mallard Drive. Supervisor Acciavatti, your comment that the issues pertaining to the basing of F-35s at Selfridge comes up every week. Supervisor Acciavatti, your failure to acknowledge the current noise issues experienced in Burlington, Vermont, and your blind support is the main reason the subject is is made frequently for transparency.
Thank you. Have there been any further public
I'm
comments?
sorry, Mr. Supervisor, there's more. I apologize. My screen went out. Current noise issues, new projections based on flight hour data and computer modeling suggest high decibel noise from F-35s at Burlington, Vermont will nearly triple the number of homes affected by high noise levels. A total of 2,640 dwelling units will be affected by noise at or above 65 decibels in 2023, compared to 976 on the 2015 Air Force sound maps. A total of 2,655 acres will be within the 65 decibel zone in 2023, according to the revised projections. Residential properties in high noise zones could be eligible for soundproofing grants and 2 other programs designed to protect home values. Municipalities will have to pay a 10% match for grants to homeowners. Individual property owners could qualify for $40,000 to $50,000 in grants for soundproofing with added insulation, new windows and doors. Coronavirus pandemic work from home restrictions resulted in constant complaints from Burlington residents that their homes were not suitable for work from home employment. The noise levels made it impossible to talk on the phone and conduct or participate in virtual business meetings. On March 16, 2021, an overwhelming majority of the Burlington City Council supported a resolution that asks Governor Phil Scott and Vermont's congressional delegation to do everything in their power to suspend F-35 training flights during the coronavirus pandemic. Supervisor Acciavatti, the noise issues in Burlington, Vermont are documented and real. Supervisor Acciavatti, homes in high noise areas could be eligible for grants to protect home values. Supervisor Acciavatti, municipalities will have to pay a 10% match for grants to homeowners. Supervisor Acciavatti, with the new normal business models for large corporations like GM and Ford have announced that thousands of their employees are slated to continue working from home after the pandemic. Supervisor Acciavatti, there have been numerous requests for a Chesterfield Township Town Hall meeting. Supervisor Acciavatti, based on the noted inherent issues in Burlington, Vermont that came with F-35's noise levels that require personal hearing protection, decreasing home values, possible loss of work from home employment, and municipal Chesterfield Township budget expenditures for 10% grant match for residential home noise abatement. Supervisor Acciavatti, did you read the article? There is a PFAS issue at the Selfridge Air Force Base. Selfridge currently pumps groundwater contaminated with PFAS into the Clinton River that may have an effect on the drinking water for Ira, New Baltimore, and Mount Clemens that has yet to be resolved. Supervisor Acciavatti, please make a list of measurable benefits for Chesterfield residents and put it on the township website for comments. The redirect you gave at the last meeting, as always, leaves Chesterfield residents with little to gain and a lot to lose. Supervisor Acciavatti, for accuracy, 2 weeks have passed since the F-35s were last mentioned. Paul S. Lafata.
Thank you. Any further public comments?
There are no additional public comments submitted, Mr. Supervisor.
Board comments. Trustee Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just wanted to, since the issue, and I apologize, I was referring to it as ARC-GIS, A-R-T, and then I believe in my Google search it is ARC, A-R-C-G-I-S. The cost for the exam is $250. The certification looks like it requires an associate's degree, and between a number of certification programs, the cost associated with training for that is roughly $1,500 as a median cost. So that's a Google search in about 5 minutes. I think it would be wise for the township to quit spending $90 an hour for something that we have well within our capability in-house. But again, I think consistent with the way that we spend money in the township, we are well known for hiring consultants who borrow our watch and then we pay them to tell us what time it is. It's a practice that is reoccurring, and no matter how hard we try, this vendor is going to stay with us. They're just locked in, and anything that has any historical significance in any way, shape, or form seems to automatically default to them, even though we have 3 additional vendors and an in-house engineer. We farm this out. We have zero problem with it, and it's troubling. But again, I can only vote no once, and I'll just continue to do that. And you know, if there's something remarkable to add to my no vote and explaining it, as there is in my opinion tonight, I'll do that. With regard to the sidewalks, I appreciate the presentation that was made. I do believe that residents have a right to the public hearing, which should be in person. I think we see again tonight not being able to coordinate our own sound with our own people and who's muted and who isn't, and giving opportunity for residents to, you know, come in and say, I'd prefer not to have something added to my tax rolls over a 5-year period is just a fundamental right, and they should be afforded the ability to do that in person. I think we're getting close, hopefully, to meeting in person, and I would ask that we push back these public hearings to give residents an opportunity to speak. You know, some people have you know, significant expense associated with this repair. It's beyond hypocritical to me to think that somebody can come in to pay for their sidewalk repair and have to traverse a parking lot where, you know, it's hazardous and dangerous, and has been for many, many years. We continue to get consultants who give us PASER studies or phaser studies, and we do absolutely nothing with them. The holes that were assessed are only bigger. I recall the police open house where you know, a little girl was literally waist deep in a pothole. I think Chief Kirsten brought a car over and positioned the car over the pothole in the parking lot so that we could avoid injury. We spent $10,000, if memory serves me, on a study to tell us that parking lot should be replaced. We haven't done anything with that, yet we say to residents, if you have a 1/4 inch rise in a pad out in front of your house, we're going to take that out, we're going to bill you, and we're going to put it on your taxes. You don't get a choice in that, because it's for safety. That seems to be a selective enforcement of safety protocols, and at a minimum, before we carry out this insult, we should allow residents to come into their house and speak in person if they like. That's the least we can do. But again, I'm one vote. That's just my position. The last thing I'd like to mention is that June is LGBTQ plus Pride Month. I intend to bring to the board at our next meeting a resolution that is similar to the one that's been adopted in neighboring communities that involves a recognition of Chesterfield's commitment to the dignity of every person, independent of sexual orientation, religion, race, and so on. We would be joining our neighbors in Clinton Township and 7 other Macomb County communities to recognize the LGBTQ plus movement. And I think Director Kirsten's comments about the things that are going on in our community, I think now more important than ever is an opportunity for us to take a leadership role and declare that we acknowledge independent, diverse, and above all else, the dignity of every human being. So I will bring the formal resolution to the board at our next meeting in preparation for June, which is Pride Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Anderson.
Thank you. In our last meeting, April the 13th, there was quite a bit of discussion about the our local board extending the local state of emergency. Five of the board members voted to do that, which, among other things, means that our meetings will continue to be online instead of in the township hall. There's a variety of reasons that were discussed. If anyone's interested, go back to last meeting's meeting between the 48-minute mark and the probably the hour and whatever, and you can watch 30-minute debate of what was said by all the members here. The online type of meetings goes through, as I mentioned, June the 1st. We have a couple more meetings here, a couple other meetings. This also pertains to the subservient board meetings, the appointed ones, ZBA, planning, and I believe Parks and Recs. They're using the Zoom format. I understand there's guidelines, board guidelines are still in place for those contingencies, and but the public can sign on and comment first person. Compared to the emails we expect our residents to send this board here. And after all, this is the board that represents the people. They put us here. I would hope that that starting our first meeting in May, that we will start Zooming more effectively than what I've seen so far, that our residents can and speak to us as the agenda items instead of sending love notes through the electronic atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I don't believe that we are currently making any homeowners with 1/4 inch or less have to repair their sidewalks. So there's been some misinformation going on. Thank you.
Trustee Demink.
Just like to say thank you to all the township employees for the job you do. I, as a trustee, appreciate everything you do. And as I do come through the township on Fridays and other days when I'm around there, or I try to make it a point to see the other departments and say thank you for what you've done. Also, as everyone's noticed, and the residents that don't know me, I've continually voted no against the fireworks tents, and I will continue to do so. It's nothing against the vendors, but I've bought, as I know, and I know my fellow board members know how I feel, the chaos that it causes, and especially to animals. I mean, every year it gets worse and worse. And I know Trustee Joseph knows how my dog reacts. He and I have had this discussion, and my dog is my life. And that's one reason why I vote against all these fireworks. Even though they're legal, they go all over. It's gotten to be terrible. And that's why I vote no every year, and I'm going to keep doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I would just like to update the board regarding the Commercial Cannabis Committee. In the course of the meeting, I did receive information that we are able to confirm that the Cannabis Committee meeting will be on the 24th of May. That is Monday, May 24th at 6 p.m. That will be in person at the Township offices, as well as information regarding the upcoming election, the primary election, the special primary election for the office of State Senator. Those absentee ballot applications will be in our office soon and will be getting mailed to everyone on the permanent absentee list. If you would like an absentee ballot for that election and you are not on the permanent absentee voter list, simply call the clerk's office and anyone in our department will be able to assist you and get you an application for an absentee ballot for that upcoming special election in August. Thank you.
Treasurer Elliott.
I want to thank everybody for their time tonight. I want to thank the presentations made tonight, and also that we declared the proclamation for the Public Service Recognition Week. That'll be a very positive thing. Also was happy to go over to Brandenburg and see what's going on over there and update, and I'm looking forward to that. I agree. I look forward to us meeting in person, hopefully here in May. And I know that the sidewalk meeting does say that we'll be meeting here at the Township, as I received one of those letters. And I want to thank everybody a good night and have a good night.
Thank you. A couple quick ones from me. One on, hold on, where'd I go? One on acknowledging work zone safety day and month, along with motorcycle awareness. As the weather's breaking, today the governor was in town on multiple projects with Executive Hackle. This is an important time for our construction workers, which are public safety employees, our public service employees. Every year there's too many traffic fatalities, along with motorcycles on the road. So I wanted to acknowledge that day. A couple of the comments from board members, and I did appreciate the discussion. We didn't get too far out of, into sarcasm tonight, like in other nights. We do have some general disagreements. When to subcontract and not subcontract, and making sure that our workforce here is nimble and not overburdened, right, or that we don't have too many. So hence the decision of when to hire new employees to grow operations are taken with the utmost importance, because each one of those jobs come with not only the hour, and I believe it was Trustee Joseph that mentioned the $90 an hour. Well, once you take the fully burdened employee, including pension, OPEB, medical, and all the benefits in our unionized organization, you'd be very, very surprised of what a fully burdened employee is. So we'll continue to have those discussions in a cordial manner. Sometimes it makes sense to subcontract, a heck of a lot of sense, and sometimes it makes sense to do them in-house. But I do appreciate those comments. On the public hearing piece, we both, I think Trustee Anderson and Trustee Joseph spoke on that in great detail. The meetings moving forward, at least this Board of Trustee meeting, I intend to be in person. There is a lot of changes that are allowing that to happen. The sidewalk meeting, that is in person. It went out as in person. It will be in person. So a phone call there or reading up on that might be a little bit helpful. I also urge every resident to listen to that board meeting, along with the meeting last year when we discussed the sidewalk replacement program in great detail. It's unfortunate that we must replace sidewalks or have a program, but it's a reality, and it was discussed very clearly through our attorney, our legal counsel. Essentially, if you're a municipality that does not have a sidewalk replacement program, you are very, very vulnerable as a municipality and as a homeowner. In virtually every municipality in the region or in the state that's mature enough to have enough sidewalks and aging sidewalks has one of these programs. And I look forward to fixing them, fixing the gaps right behind this, and connecting our entire community with grants, and connecting our sidewalks, our non-motorized path systems. And this is one piece of the puzzle. There's going to be a gap program behind it, and a complete connect Chesterfield to the rest of the Iron Bell Trail, Orchard, Macomb Orchard Trail, and ultimately a 16-mile road through some neighboring communities. Item number 12 is adjournment. Our next regular board meeting is May 11th, 2021 at 7 p.m. That meeting will be in person at this point. The official notice will go out in about 10 days in time, Clerk Barry.
Motion
Do I
to
have a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn? Motion by Clerk Barry,
Motion to
or
adjourn, Joseph.
Trustee Joseph to adjourn. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Trustee Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed by saying nay. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.